Welcome to this podcast produced for Business Lincolnshire as part of the Fit for Business programme. I'm Guy Lewis, and we are joined today by Deborah Goodall from Air 8 Marketing. Hi Deborah, how are you?
I'm good, thanks Guy, yeah.
And how's work been this week?
Pretty busy, I can't lie, but I have been chatting with a few people about business plans and talking with them about how it's so important to have a business plan, and these are established businesses and quite often they haven't got a business plan. So I thought today we could have a real good chat about what business plan is and why they're important to have.
Okay, so what is a business plan then?
So basically it's a written document that notes out the core business activities and the financial objectives and how the business sort of plans to achieve these objectives. And the business plan usually spans between 1 and 3 years.
Okay, if we get one, why do we need one?
Well, it's so good to have one as it helps you really keep focused on the direction of the business. And it captures key thoughts in terms of where you want to take the business. And obviously it can also be really useful to present to people outside your business if you're seeking financial investment. You know, and there is that old adage, you know, if you don't have a plan, how do you know where you're going?
True. So have you written a business plan?
I have written a business plan actually, yeah, with CDI Alliance. We have a business plan that we review every quarter. A business plan is a living document. It doesn't just get written and chucked in a drawer. But, you know, beyond sort of that business, the business plan itself can help you sort of shape thoughts on capacity issues, you know, when you might want to start recruiting staff or things that you need to be aware of as your business grows. And certainly with CDI Alliance, you know, it highlighted that we needed to bring in additional sort of admin resource. And so revisiting it on that regular basis is so important.
Good. And is it about business targets as well then?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, the objectives are really important and you need to think about them. And typically you'd include some financial objectives and a sort of time frame. But it's also important to think about scenario planning. So what really good looks like, what an average year might look like, what a bad year might look like, and how that will affect your income and your outgoings. So the whole sort of budget planning. And then it's probably worth also thinking about other objectives, you know, and they might be more qualitative. So it might be things about getting a better work-life balance, or it might be succession planning or exit planning. There's kind of lots of things that you can put in there. It's not all just about the numbers.
Oh, so what else does a business plan contain?
So the body of the business plan is the really meaty bit, the bit that I really enjoy pulling together. And usually it contains information about the products or services that a business offers. It also contains the marketing strategy, including a full pest and SWOT, and looks at the 7 Ps of marketing. And then you might start and tie that in to your distribution channels. So start and look at a sales strategy as well.
Oh, hang on a minute. What, to get a SWOT, to get a pest, and 7 Ps. So let's go through this. What's a pest?
So a pest is an analysis of external forces, and it stands for political, economic, social, technological, and then actually there's legal and environmental. So PESTLE, if you're going to be very specific about it. And you look at all the things that are going on external to your business that might have an impact in some way. So politically, it might be things like the situation in Russia and Ukraine and how that might actually impact on your business at the moment. Economically, you know, we've got rising inflation, we've got rising fuel costs. So all these things are going to impact on your business.
So it's all Brexit type of thing.
Brexit type stuff, would impact through sort of the political channel. Social change, so changes in consumer behaviour and consumer expectations, and quite often social at the moment very much links in with environmental. So there's a push from socially, so through society, for more sustainability within business and more consciousness about the environment itself. So they're quite strongly linked at the moment, but it could be that society was driving technological change or adoption.
Okay, so very much external forces then, things that you've got no control over, but you have to react to.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. So, it might be changes in law. So GDPR was probably the last big one that we all sort of jumped through hoops for, yeah.
Okay, and a SWOT?
SWOT is more internal, so you're looking at the strengths and weaknesses within the organisation or the product or the service that you're offering, and then the opportunities and threats is the O&T of SWOT, and they can be external. So it might be that through your strengths and weaknesses, you identify potential external opportunities, but they're about your internals influencing externals rather than your externals influencing internals.
Okay. And then the magic 7 Ps.
The magic 7 Ps. So price, physical evidence, process, place, product, people, and promotion are your classic 7 Ps. So it's all about, what price you're selling out at. Are you making enough profit? Are you positioning yourself as being fair trade? That would fall under price. Physical evidence, anything that's out there that supports what you're saying about your product or service, that would then reduce sort of buyers' remorse almost. So you might sort of have reviews in magazines or influencers talking about your product or service. Process, so internal processes. So actually, what is that process from the moment that the order comes in to it being dispatched or fulfilled in some way? So actually, how are you going to deliver that, and how is that customer centric? Place is all about distribution channels. So actually, how are you going to get the product or service out to the customer? Product is obviously a product. So product development, anything innovative that you want to do. People, all about the people within your business, and are they representing your brand? I could go on for hours about that. I won't. And then the final bit of the 7 Ps is promotion, which is the bit that people always think is marketing, but actually it's a really tiny bit of marketing. So this is your marketing mix. And so promotion is your channels to reach your customers. So could be direct mail, email marketing, social media, digital channels, whatever it might be. So it's quite a detailed process that you go through to actually build that part of your business plan.
Okay, so understanding that's overall marketplace, competition forces. Okay, and all this analysis, what's the end game?
Well, the end game is that you should be able to pull your business plan together and identify where your business fills the gap. So you could be in quite a saturated marketplace, and it would be about seeing if there was an opportunity to provide that product or service in a slightly different way, or position it in a slightly different way, so that you are then opening a gap, so you're creating your own, or you have identified that there is a gap, and you actually develop your product or service to almost create an opportunity. So if you think about the iPhone, nobody 20 years ago thought they needed all of that stuff in their back pocket. Who knew that you had to have Google Maps and texts and WhatsApp and
a camera on your phone
and all that sort of stuff, So they obviously created an opportunity, but with most businesses, what you're doing is looking for a gap that you can actually then fill.
Okay. My name is Guy Lewis, and you're with myself and Deborah Goodall discussing the importance of preparing a business plan. Having looked at the gap in the market, what financial information should the business plan contain?
Well, it should contain a full financial plan and budgetary information. So you sort of look at, is there any investment requirement, when and what for, what the revenue will be generated, what that will be over the period of the plan. So if you're doing it for 1 year, then you do, 12 months, month by month, what's the income going to be? Or if you're doing it for 3 years, you probably do year by year, and then break down that first year into month by month, and look at whether the revenue is enough to cover investment or whether you'll need to seek funding from elsewhere. Whilst I've been chatting with my clients over this last week or so, we've really been talking about looking at actually how many customers they're going to get over a period of time, and then actually what the acquisition costs of those customers will be, because they're trying to develop a new way of presenting their business, so filling a gap in the market, but they're not sure actually how people will respond to it. So at the moment we're trying to weigh up whether it's even a financially viable sort of product to go with, to be honest.
I guess they're looking at average spend per client then.
Average spend per client, and actually how many people are going to make contact and be interested. That they're trying to pull clients who are probably already on a service contract elsewhere. So it's about positioning themselves as being ultra competitive, but you've got to wait for those service contracts to expire. So there's kind of lots of nuances for their industry, but all of that should really go into their business plan, because it might be that they're out there, putting messages out for a good 3 to 6 months before they actually get any income coming into the business.
Let alone enough income to cover the investment.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And what other financial information should the business plan contain?
So there should also be a budget plan, so details of what's needed to be spent day by day. So whether that's a capital investment or just daily spend, and whether you have the quotes or not, whether they're estimates, any sort of staff costs, rent, or whether you're buying premises, all of the outgoings need to be charted against the projected income, because you need to be able to see whether it's viable or not, to be honest.
I heard someone else talking about this and said, and by the way, you must include paying yourself.
Well, absolutely, yeah. That should be one of the top things, I think, shouldn't it, Guy?
Don't forget to pay yourself.
Don't forget to pay yourself, yeah.
Okay, so that's the financial theory. Is there any non-financial stuff on the business plan?
Yeah, so there's that whole sort of thing around people, planet, profit. So responsibility for businesses to consider their longer term impact on the environment. So whilst you'll have covered some of this off in your pest analysis, really this is about actually, what is your business doing to kind of reduce the impact on the environment? Have you got a corporate and social responsibility section? It's important to consider your business's stance on community and maybe weave that into an objective. Things like you might be giving a percentage of your profits to a foundation. You might be reducing business travel. You might be investing in electric vehicles. There's lots and lots of options out there, but it is a sort of a growing thing to include in your business plan.
Yeah, you whizzed through a lot of stuff quick there. I was just thinking of that people, planet, profit, and I certainly was talking to someone talking about economic sustainability. So sustainability, yeah, really high, the planet or the people, but only not necessarily at the stage of not looking at profit, because it has to be sustainable. It has to be something that is part of the business.
Well, it does have to be something that's part of the business, but that's the CEO from Unilever said, nobody wins in business when the world's on fire or underwater. So I think there's a bit of reprioritising to be done in some businesses, to be honest.
Yeah. And a part of that sort of corporate and social responsibility section, again, sort of weaving into an objective, something you're trying to achieve. Yeah.
You might bring that right to the top of your business plan and have it as something that you measure on a monthly basis. Actually, how are we doing against this?
I was just wondering what would be the examples of that. Is that sort of like local sports sponsorships and that sort of stuff? It
could be, sponsoring a grassroots cricket club, or you might set up a foundation. If you think about brands like AlpKit, they set up the AlpKit Foundation. They provide a percentage of their profits to the AlpKit Foundation. They're also doing lots of repair and recycle of kit that they sell. So, there's lots and lots of options that people can build into their business plans to really demonstrate that they're taking it seriously.
Okay. Right. Okay. And actually, so like 5% of our profits, or to really nail down a target, nail down something that you can be measured against.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got the details of our plan. What's the next stage?
Well, so you've kind of got the objective part of it, and kind of, and then you move on to the actual how. how part of the plan. So looking at things like whether you're going to grow through developing your current offering, whether you're going to grow through diversification or acquisition, or whether you're going to sell the same thing to different people. There's lots of kind of different ways of looking at actually how you're going to
new product to new people, or old product to exist, whatever that is.
Yeah. Just think about actually what your expansion plan or growth plan is going to be. And a business plan doesn't always have to be about growth. It might be about stability, but you still need that plan in place because you still need to be kept on track.
Yeah, I suppose planning to move away from certain things that aren't as maybe attractive to you anymore, or financially, or whatever, that people, place, and profit, that could be moved. Okay, are there any tools you can use to help you in this?
Yeah, there's the growth action plan model. So I'm quite a big fan of this because you pull out kind of your big 3 whats, so what your objectives are, and then look at what the hows are that'll deliver those whats, and then you can assign those to someone and put a timeline in, so it becomes a sort of living reference document, where you can go back to it and you can see how close you are to achieving the hows, but then you can see how that how feeds into your whats. So it's all about sort of where those sales or products or new ideas are going to come from. So this is the bit that kind of pulls into the creative and entrepreneurial part of the brain.
Yeah, that's like the old SMART objectives, isn't it? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and above all, time frame.
Yeah,
make sure it sort of happens. Yeah. I've also seen that bit where someone's house can be cascaded into their own action plan. So you can have action plans and levels.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't, that sort of growth action plan model doesn't have to stay with the business plan. You could roll it out department by department or person by person, depends on the size of your business really, but there's kind of lots of things you can do with that model, so it's definitely worth having a look at.
Okay, so we've looked at our visions and plan, but what about outside impacts on the plan?
Yeah, so you've got to consider what the problems might be, and you should have identified those in your pest or SWOT, but nobody saw COVID coming, did they? But you really need to deal with unforeseen circumstances within your how elements of the business. So what would stop your business in its track? So it might be things like staff absence, pandemic, European war. There's lots of things going on at the moment, isn't there? Supply chain issues. Lots and lots of businesses being hit by supply chain issues at the moment. So actually, what is the contingency action if these things occur? So really sit there and think about actually where are the holes? Where could things go wrong badly with those external forces that we haven't got any control over?
Yeah. So that plan B, plan C sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And what have you got? What's your top tips on maintaining and monitoring your plan?
Milestones. You've got to have milestones in there so you can really see where you've come from. Lots of people just focus on where we're going to. Actually, sometimes it's good to go, do you know what? 6 months ago, we were only there, and now look how far we've come. It can be a right motivational booster. So sort of measure your progress. And, as I mentioned earlier, a business plan's a living document. You don't just write it and sort of chuck it in a drawer, or you don't just write it because you need finance support. You've got to write it as part of your ongoing sort of reference documentation within your business. So it needs to be out there, and you need to be kind of looking at it on a regular basis.
I like that idea of milestones. In fact, someone else put it into celebrations.
Oh yeah,
having that point that celebrate what you've done that's good. You can easily forget about it, and just it ends up with sort of treadmill of continual sort of striving, whereas not actually thinking. How do we celebrate that? How do we do?
Yeah.
Are there any useful resources around?
Yeah, absolutely. BusinessLincolnshire.com in their toolbox on the website, they've got resources on how to write your business plan, and of course gov.uk, always good for info on business strategy.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to a Business Lincolnshire podcast. Look out for the next episode. If you're listening on the Business Lincolnshire YouTube channel, don't forget to give us a thumbs up or subscribe down below. If you're on your favourite podcast platform, then remember to follow the show. More information at businesslincolnshire.com.